So here are the best settings for Delta Force Season 2, really Season 3. Let's get right into it with our graphics settings. For my display adapter, make sure you set it to your graphics card and not to your GPU graphics card. That is quite important. For your display mode, I like borderless windowed because I alt-tab quite a bit, just because currently I only run with one monitor. But for people who don't alt-tab, full screen is theoretically better. Moving on to display area aspect ratio, I just leave that on auto. It works just fine. Brightness, you can set this how you like. I like it relatively bright, but that's sort of personal preference. Moving on from brightness, in match frame rate cap, I have that set to 240. I don't set anything to unlimited anymore just because I worry about cooking my graphics card. Ever since that happened to people with New World, I don't risk it. You can set it to unlimited and then limit in the NVIDIA control panel. It's sort of up to you what you want to do. Moving on from that, out of match frame rate cap, I just leave that at 75. And then going down to sharpness, this is more personal preference. I'm leaving it at 60. I like a little bit more sharpness than 50%, but if you need somewhere to start at 50% and go up or down from there. Then with a VSync, I have VSync and NVIDIA Fast Sync both turned off as they are not good. Then moving on to our field of view, I found that 120 FOV actually seems really nice. And same with the vehicles, I have it turned up all the way. It doesn't seem to hurt performance at all, and it lets you see people further around you. Moving down to our basic graphic settings, I have it on custom, obviously. I would turn these off if I could, but for some reason they're grayed out. I'm not sure what's up about that. Maybe you could turn them off going into like the config file, but honestly, I haven't found it to be too annoying. With weapon motion blur, I have that turned off. Reflections are on low. Texture filtering is on low. Ambient occlusion is off. Definitely don't want that on. I don't know why games have these on by default. Particles are on low. Distortion is low. Scene details is low. And scene view distance is also low. For the view distance, I've never found that, like when sniping at long distances, low has always been fine. So yeah, no reason to not leave that on low. Moving down to the advanced graphic settings, depth of field I have off. This is awful. Basically, it just gives you a blur. Then global illumination quality I have on low. Shaders I have on low. Textures on low. You can turn textures up to medium maybe if you want. If you want textures just to look a little bit better. But again, it's just dependent on what system you have and your personal preferences. Streaming, this affects how many extra items are on the ground. I have this on low just so that there's no distractions when trying to attack other players. Shadows I have on low. Shadow map is on low. Post processing low. Volumetric fog is low. Animation is also low. Then this depends on your graphics card. Since I have an NVIDIA one, I'm running a DLSS at quality setting and the NVIDIA Reflex low latency on low latency. If you have AMD, you can run the Fidelity FX, but it's just sort of up to you. So those are the graphic settings. Now let's go through the keybinds, game settings, and all of that jazz. Moving on to our game settings, I have all of these combat options turned off. I don't like any of those. Moving on to hit effects, hit color is on red. I think it's just fine. Mark wheel transparency, both of those are fine. Press to mark location is on. Put marked items in safe box first. That's important. Put high value items in safe box first. I also have that on. And then you can actually set the value threshold for items to put in the safe box first. Obviously, this is for operations. I have it set to 15K right now. I think that's sort of a good middle ground where it will fill up your safe box and then you can take stuff out if you find even more valuable objects. Then we have different items sorting on separate rows. You can do this. However, I've had issues with my stash not being big enough, so I have it off for right now. And then auto sort when opening stash. This is really nice to turn on. And then additionally, you can choose what goes at the top. So I have my key cards at the top, then container crates. Then we have collectibles, gear, firearms, attachments, and then consumables are at the bottoms with other at the very far bottom. I find it makes it easy to find your key cards. For example, if we go into my stash, you can see that the key cards are just right at the top. So it's very nice to have it like that. So moving on from there, where were we? Moving on from our game settings to our keyboard and mouse. I have my mouse sensitivity set to 4. I did not change any of the multipliers. And then ADS sensitivity tight on NDV. the monitor distance coefficient is at 1.33, which seems to be just fine. And then all of these are off. I think the aircraft vertical input was turned on. And then I set all of these sensitivities to 4 as well, but didn't change anything else. For reference, my mouse is at 800 DPI, and I have about like a 1 foot by 1 foot mouse pad. So this is completely dependent on your mouse and your mouse pad and your DPI. Generally, I'd say you want to be able to turn 360 degrees. So if you put your mouse in the middle of your mouse pad, moving to one end, you should basically be able to, so like if this is the center of the mouse pad, turning around, now my mouse is almost at the edge of my mouse pad. I have it a little bit more so that you can turn a little bit further, but you should be able to turn 360 degrees basically. Then moving on, oh, and I do have my mouse sensitivity a little bit higher in this game just because there's a fast movement and stuff like Viron scooting around. So moving on from our mouse sensitivity, we can go to controls and combat. I didn't change too many of the key binds. I have a prone or dive on Z, and then jump or mantle on spacebar. I did switch the left lean peak and the right lean peak. It gets a little bit of time, or takes a little bit of time getting used to, but it is 100% worth it. As if you're right leaning peak, you're going to move with your D, which is your index finger, so you're not going to want to lean with your index finger as well. So lean on Q when you're moving to the right, and then lean when you're moving left, lean with E, and then definitely have those on toggle so you don't have to hold them down. Now with walk, that's on shift, run is on caps. Moving down to combat, I did not change much here. You can set a quick melee button if you want. Weapons 1, 2, 3, 4, and then again, I don't think I changed much here. I changed inspect weapon to 6 because sometimes I want to look at my skins. But yeah, I didn't really change anything there. The most important parts were switching the Q and E, and then running and stuff. So moving on. Oh, and the reason I have run on caps lock is because it is easier to reach it than shift. Moving on to screen interaction. I did not really change anything here. Sometimes age can be a little bit rough to get, especially if you're trying to carry one of your friends out of combat. So you could change that to an easy to reach button, but honestly, H is okay for me. And other than that, I don't think I changed. These are just all default. Just keep in mind that these exist. If you have the tilde key, I would change map to the tilde key. I just currently have a 60% keyboard, so I have it on M still, but I'll be getting a bigger keyboard soon, and I will be switching map to the tilde key when I get it. And vehicles, honestly, I'm not a big vehicle player, so I haven't changed anything here. And I also play more operations than warfare, but so I just leave these on default. Moving on to screen, nothing too much to see here. Definitely have closed backpack / pickup tab when being attacked on. That's really important. And then I actually mess with stuff in my backpack when sprinting, so I have that off. And other than that, I didn't turn any of this on. That's all default as well. Audio, right now I have it off just because I'm recording a video, but I would turn that on to something. Make sure your audio output mode is on headphones. And other than that, I didn't really change much. I turned my music volume down, but yeah, pretty much all default settings there as well. And yeah, so those are all of the settings for Delta Force. I went through them and did some updates since season 1. So I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Feel free to catch my next Delta Force guides. I'll have some more coming out in the following weeks. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.